Corbin Burnes was traded to the Orioles. That's
Huge.
some pretty big news. That hits home as well.
Blockbuster. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll call it a blockbuster, but it was a move.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a blockbuster. I mean, that's the biggest trade of the offseason. Right?
That's fair. I think, yeah.
I mean, you've got a Cy Young winner going to a team who probably, I mean, they're the favorites to win the American League now. They may have been the favorites before this, but adding Corbin Burnes to that rotation, like that's what they were missing. That was the missing piece for Baltimore, is like that ace. And they got him. And they got him without really doing any damage whatsoever to their current team and probably their future teams. Like they dealt I mean, DL Hall's got really good stuff, but I don't know if DL Hall's anything but a relief pitcher. Joey Ortiz, he's fine, but I mean, there's no guarantee he's a productive major leaguer. And then a future comp pick. Like,
yeah,
they did a good job. I was bashing the Orioles about a week or two ago, and I was like, if I were an Orioles fan right now, I have no idea. Like, I would be so mad. Like, they've got this stacked team of young talent, and they just went out there and they did nothing all off season. Well, this was something. This was a big something that they went out there and did. So yeah, Orioles fans should be happy right now. They're in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I don't know if they were the favorites beforehand. You could certainly imagine them being the favorites right now, but like this is definitely a big move for them. Like this is the move that certainly solidifies them to be in that category because we know how young they are, we know how talented they are, we know how deep their farm is everywhere. Right? I mean, the offense is definitely really good. The pitching's fair. I mean, first off, we've talked about the bullpen. I think like the past 2 years. We know that bullpen's really good. They've just needed that dude in the rotation, like especially if you're thinking playoffs. Like they have enough to get them through the season, right? They have that guy that's going to take them into the playoffs. This is what that move does. Like I felt like they had enough to get them to the playoffs, right? Now they're starting to look scary for the playoffs with Corbin Burnes. So, and like you hitting on the head here too. What did they give up? Like really, like think about what did they give up? I mean, as a Brewers fan, I don't know if you'll be like totally upset about this. Like it's 1 year Corbin Burnes in that aspect, right? Knowing it's 1 year Corbin Burnes, you can be upset that you've traded Corbin Burnes, so now the 2024 season is looking kind of suspect. But for the return of Corbin Burnes, you can say it's not terrible. Like you might not be totally upset, but like as an Orioles fan, you've given up pieces that you're never going to use, likely ever going to use, because of how deep. Like this is what we're talking about. You have worked so hard to build this up that you're able to trade pieces that you're not going to use to get a Cy Young winner.
Yeah, the Orioles have just stockpiled talent, right? I mean, Joey Ortiz is a top 100 prospect. He's a shortstop. But guess what? They have the number 1 prospect in baseball, who's also a shortstop, who is just looking like he's going to be an absolute superstar. So it's like, hey, Joey Ortiz, completely expendable. And if Joey Ortiz can help you get a Cy Young winner, then you trade Joey Ortiz because you don't need him. So, yeah, I mean, hell of a trade by the Orioles. If I'm an Orioles fan, I'm pretty excited right now. Your team just got bought by a couple of billionaires, so you hope that they're in the mood to spend some money. You just acquired Corbin Burnes. You've got a really good team going into next year. Yeah, Orioles fans, they've been through a lot these last handful of years. So that is the thing. The Orioles, obviously the Pirates fans are kind of looking at the Orioles as like, this is what we want to become, right? Mm-hmm. Like Orioles went through a rough rebuild, like tough stretch of just awful baseball. But in doing so, they acquired a lot of really good guys and developed a lot of really young talent. So they hit with a lot of their prospects, especially on the offensive side. I don't know if the Pirates are going to hit so far. I mean, the Pirates haven't produced any of those Adley, Rushman, Gunnar, Henderson, Jackson Holiday type guys yet. And the Orioles have just been like spewing them out year after year. So it's Orioles definitely have done better their rebuild than the Pirates. Let's just say that. Now they started a little bit earlier too, but the Pirates don't have any players in their system on the offensive side that can do what these Orioles guys can do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's tough to. If you're a Pirates fan, like, don't look at the Orioles and say that's what you're trying to go after, because like it's not there, it's not happening. But let me try to take a step back also. What the Orioles are doing is like an anomaly. I mean, they have, like you said, they've almost perfectly executed this flawlessly. So it's one of those things too. It's like it's hard to mimic and replicate something that's almost impossible to be done. So like that's a very high standard. But the issue is like the Pirates really aren't close, because the major league talent of the Orioles is, like you just said, it's a team that could have been fighting for the AL East title like right now. And then they added Corbin Burnes without touching much of their prospect capital that's worth anything. And like they're still the best farm system in the league, in the whole MLB. So like that's what we're talking about here. Imagine, okay, you have Ono Cruz at second, and so say Peguero was like the top rated second baseman and just a stud, and they traded Nick Gonzalez and something else, like you're talking about this fashion here, to get Corbin Burnes. Like that's what we're talking about. But the Pirates have two guys that you're not even sure of are going to make it for second base, like ever. You hope, right? Like that's where we're at. So the difference here. But what I want to do is I want to flip it over to the Milwaukee Brewers side, because we have been talking about the Brewers, and it looks as if the Brewers maybe aren't going to retool. I mean, we've been hearing that they're kind of leaning towards keeping Corbin Burnes. If they're going to keep Corbin Burnes, that makes sense. They're going to try to go ahead and see what they can do for 2024. Maybe the deadline, they make the decision, right? Well, the decision's been made. They traded Corbin Burnes. So now it makes me feel like, okay, the retool is definitely on. So whoever now at this point has like a 1-year deal left is definitely on the table. The NL Central just kind of opened up even more, because this was the team that won it last year, right? 92 wins, I believe it was, right, Jim?
Somewhere in that area.
If you don't know, I think it was 92.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, like now the NL Central is wide open.
Yeah, and I looked when the trade, as soon as the trade went down, I was curious to just see like what Vegas thought of it. Like, what does Vegas now think of the Milwaukee Brewers? And before this, the Brewers were supposed to, I think, finish in second or third place, but they were going to be over 500. They were still going to be a decent team. Right now, after trading Corbin Burnes, their win total is down to 76.5. So Vegas doesn't have a whole lot of confidence that Milwaukee is much of a contending team anymore.
Yeah.
Now at 76.5 in this division, if I were betting on that, I'd probably still go over, just looking at this Milwaukee team. But their pitching staff isn't great at all anymore. It's actually kind of similar to the Pirates situation, where you've got like one really good established starting pitcher that you can rely on, and then they just kind of pieced it together with other guys. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think you've got to put the Pirates and I don't think the Pirates and the Brewers are that far apart right now when it comes to the talent on their team.
And like,
who knows with Churio? Yeah, like if it depends on who Churio is. If Jackson Churio is a stud, then there's maybe a difference maker. But other than that, I'm looking at these two teams, and the Brewers don't look that great on paper.
No, I mean, you're absolutely correct. But I think the other thing too is, like, does this also set off another want to say flurry of trades. I don't think they have like that many to be a flurry, but like Adames, is he gone? It
I mean,
sounds like
they
they're
just
listening
said,
on to him.
yeah, that's a good point. If Adames goes,
Right.
then that changes things even more.
And then Devin Williams, is he gone? Probably. So it's like, I don't know if they're finished yet. So they could dip down a little bit less what they have. But I'm with you. Like there's now some similarities to like them and the Pirates, But it just we've seen what the Reds have been doing. You see the Cardinals are getting better, right? And like when I look at the landscape, like the Cardinals' future still doesn't look strong. Like I get that. I mean, their farm isn't that good. It's still there, but it's not that good. Their major leagues team still kind of suspect, but they've definitely got better this year. The Reds, they look kind of, not saying Orioles-ish, but you look at them, the major league team has talent. The farm's still there. The Cubs have a lot of talent in the farm. The major league team it's already better. They haven't done a whole lot this offseason. It's funny how you say like the Orioles, like as a Cubs fan, I'd also kind of be upset how this offseason has gone. It's not over yet.
Oh yeah.
Bellinger could still land there, and things are different now. But like there's definitely up and coming. And the Brewers here, it's like they're tearing down. Like everyone just like at that 80 mark range. Like they're all right around there. Like no one's really, really good. They're all just sitting right there. And it's just like, what a year to capitalize. And it's just kind of funny because really no one's doing it.
No, I mean, you mentioned the Cubs. The Cubs have signed Imanaga. That's really all they've done up to this point, and they got a new coach, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a Cubs
great
fan,
signing, by the way, great signing.
Yeah. I mean, Imanaga signing's good, but like, yeah, you're the Cubs. You expect to do something, and like you mentioned, this division's wide open. If there's anybody in a position to just break it open, it's the Cubs. Like they've got the money to do it. They're really the only team in the division where if they wanted to, they could just say, shit, we're going to go out there and spend $250 million next year. They have that capability.
Mine.
So it's like they just haven't done it. Adding Bellinger definitely makes that team, a little bit better. But at the same time, you still don't. Bellinger's not the guy he used to be. I think he's still a really good player, but he's not the guy he used to be. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season. I think the Pirates are putting themselves in a position where if they can still add a couple more pieces here, you've got to feel better about their chances heading into the year. So I think, up to this point, the offseason hasn't been good, but they're still in a spot where if they can add a couple more people, they could compete in this division because it's not that good.
100% agree. And that's been the problem. Like, that's why we've been pounding the table on this so much, is because they certainly can. I'm not saying they needed to make that deal, right? But like, if the Pirates were to add a Corbin Burnes to this team right now, do you not see them and say, okay, you know what? Like, they're Corbin Burnes, Mitch Keller. I know there's some suspect pieces afterwards, but like, I feel more comfortable. I feel more confident that they could fill that out, number 3 through 5, with all the parts they have. Cruz coming back, right? Kutch is here. First base is still kind of, I don't know what's going on there, but you know what? Maybe something happens. Maybe make a trade the deadline. But like, it's enough to really keep him there. And come July, you're looking and saying, that they can make the push and make something happen. But they just haven't done that. They haven't taken the reins and said, we are going to compete. They said, yeah, we're going to compete. That's, like, okay, that doesn't sound real confident. Yeah, you're saying it, but you're not really showing it. You know what I mean? And but again, that's what's kind of ironic. Like, the Reds have done some stuff. They've certainly improved. They've surrounded themselves with some better pieces, but it was kind of rumor they were in Dylan Cease, and they're trying really in on Sonny Gray and stuff. Like, it seemed as if they were going to get that dude in the rotation as well, and they haven't done that. The Cubs rumor that they're in on Ohtani, right? Like, they were going to spend this offseason and they didn't. So again, like, no one has really gone out there and like taken the throat of the NL Central, said this is going to be mine, which still does give the Pirates a chance. But in my my aspect, right? My point of view is like they're still down here where everyone's still a little bit above them where things stand.
Hey, you all, thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.